The world ended on a Wednesday. One moment, life was ordinary, kids going to school, parents stuck in rush hour traffic, grocery stores stocked with food. The next, chaos erupted. News reports flooded every channel with the same terrifying message: a viral outbreak was spreading like wildfire. Victims turned rabid, attacking loved ones, strangers, anyone in their path. The infected did not die easily. Worse, they did not stay dead. For the Williams family, the nightmare started in the heart of Chicago. Jason Williams, a former Marine, now an auto mechanic, had always prepared for the worst. But even he couldn't have imagined how fast society would crumble. When the first reports of cannibalistic riots surfaced, he told his wife, Emily, to pack bags for their two kids, 16-year-old Ryan and 10-year-old Lily. By the time they reached their car, the city was already on fire. "Mom, what's happening?" Lily asked, clutching her stuffed rabbit, ears frayed from years of love. Emily shot Jason a worried glance. "We'll be okay, sweetheart. We just need to get out of here." But there was no escape. As Jason weaved through the panicked streets, the full horror of the outbreak became clear. A traffic jam stretched for miles, people abandoning their cars as grotesque figures staggered between them. Their eyes were milky white, their mouths smeared with blood. A man in a business suit was pinned to the pavement, his screams cutting through the night as undead hands ripped him apart. Ryan gasped. "Dad, drive. Now." Jason spun the wheel, trying to find another route, but a police barricade blocked the way. Officers fired at the approaching horde, but the bullets barely slowed them down. More civilians were being torn apart, their desperate cries swallowed by the chaos. Then it happened. A woman stumbled from an alley, her throat ripped open, flesh hanging in ribbons. Her eyes locked onto the Williams family car. With an inhuman snarl, she lunged, slamming against the passenger window. Emily screamed as the woman clawed at the glass, her bloody fingers leaving smears. Jason didn't hesitate. He floored the gas. The car jerked forward, knocking the woman aside, but she was not alone. More of them emerged, staggering, twitching, mouths snapping. "We can't stay here," Jason growled. "We need to get off the main road." He turned onto a side street, weaving through abandoned vehicles. Ryan kept watch through the back window, his hands shaking. "They're everywhere." And then, as if fate itself had turned against them, a crashed delivery truck blocked their path. Jason slammed the brakes, the car screeching to a halt. "No, no, no," Emily whispered. A terrible groaning noise filled the air. The undead had noticed them. Lily whimpered. Jason grabbed his gun from the glove compartment, heart pounding. "Everyone, out. Now." He threw open the door, ushering his family into a nearby alley. The stench of rotting garbage mixed with the foul, metallic scent of blood. The moans grew louder. "We need to find shelter," Emily said, gripping Lily's hand. "There," Ryan pointed, a sporting goods store with its metal security gate half open. Jason took the lead, gun raised. They hurried inside, Emily yanking the gate down behind them. The store was dark, shelves overturned, signs of looting everywhere. Jason checked the aisles. No movement. No sound. For now, they were safe. But outside, the dead gathered, their moans growing louder. The Williams family had survived the first night. But the horror had only just begun. The store was eerily silent, save for the muffled moans of the undead outside. Dust motes danced in the pale light filtering through the shattered windows. The shelves had been ransacked, baseball bats, knives, even fishing spears taken by desperate survivors who had come before them. Jason swept the aisles, gun raised, his military instinct sharp. "Stay close," he whispered. His family huddled behind him, Emily clutching Lily's trembling hand, Ryan gripping a rusty crowbar he had found behind the counter. "Is it safe?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a breath. Jason hesitated. No place was truly safe anymore. "We'll stay here for now. Rest. But we need to move before morning." Ryan peered through the metal security gate. The undead were still out there, shambling between abandoned cars, their lifeless eyes searching for fresh prey. A bloodied man, half his face missing, dragged himself across the pavement, his one remaining arm clawing forward. Ryan swallowed hard. How did this happen so fast? Jason sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. Doesn't matter now. What matters is keeping us alive. Emily turned to Lily, crouching beside her. Sweetheart, are you okay? Lily nodded, but her small fingers clutched her stuffed rabbit so tightly its fabric nearly tore. I want to go home. Emily forced a smile. I know, baby. We'll find somewhere safe soon. Jason rummaged through what little was left in the store. He found a half-empty box of protein bars and tossed one to each of them. Eat. We don't know when we'll get another meal. As they chewed in silence, a distant gunshot rang through the night. Then another. Someone was fighting. Jason moved to the window, peering outside. A group of survivors, 3 men and a woman, were sprinting down the street, rifles in hand. One of them turned and fired, dropping a zombie with a headshot. But there were too many. The undead swarmed, their decaying bodies lunging forward. The woman tripped. She screamed as hands grabbed her, teeth sinking into her arm. The others hesitated for a fraction of a second, then ran, leaving her behind. Lily let out a small gasp. Emily pulled her close, covering her eyes. The woman's screams turned to gurgles. Jason clenched his jaw. He had seen death before, on the battlefield, in war. But this was different. Ryan gripped his crowbar tighter. We should help them. No, Jason said firmly. We can't risk it. Ryan glared at him. But we can't just. Jason cut him off with a look. We are outnumbered and outgunned. If we go out there, we die. End of discussion. Ryan turned away, fists clenched. Emily placed a hand on his shoulder. I know it's hard, she whispered. But your father's right. We have to think about Lily. Outside, the undead finished their meal, their blood-stained mouths still twitching as they searched for more. The Williams family had survived another night. But tomorrow, they would have to run. Dawn broke with an eerie stillness. The undead still lingered outside, their milky eyes scanning for movement. Some had wandered off in the night, following distant sounds of gunfire, but too many remained. Jason stood by the window, his grip tight on his pistol. They couldn't stay in the store any longer. Supplies were scarce, and the zombies would eventually find a way inside. We move now, Jason said. Emily glanced at Lily, still curled up with her stuffed rabbit. But where? We find a car, he said. Get out of the city. Head west. Maybe the suburbs are safer. Ryan, still frustrated from the night before, grabbed his crowbar. Then let's go. Jason took a deep breath. The world outside was a war zone, but waiting any longer would only get them killed. He lifted the security gate an inch, scanning the street. A few zombies shuffled nearby, but they weren't looking in their direction. Not yet. Stay low. Move fast. No noise, he whispered. One by one, they slipped outside, hearts pounding. Jason took point, his gun raised. Emily followed with Lily, Ryan bringing up the rear. Their target was a blue SUV parked across the street. Jason tried the handle. Locked. Damn it, he muttered. A nearby corpse, once a police officer, lay sprawled against a bloodied cruiser. Jason rushed over, searching the body. The stench of rotting flesh burned his nostrils, but he kept his stomach in check. A ring of keys jangled on the officer's belt. Jason grabbed them. Then the body twitched. Jason barely had time to react as the officer's corpse jerked upright, its rotting mouth lunging toward his arm. Gunshot. The bullet ripped through the zombie's skull. Jason stumbled back as the body slumped to the ground. Ryan stood there, hands shaking, the smoking pistol in his grip. The shot had been loud. Too loud. The undead turned. Moans rose into the air, a chorus of hunger and death. The zombies lurched forward, drawn to the noise. "Run!" Jason shouted. Ryan threw the gun back to his father and sprinted. Jason fumbled with the keys, shoving one into the SUV's lock. Click. "Get in. Now." Emily shoved Lily inside, climbing into the passenger seat. Ryan barely made it into the back before Jason jumped in, slamming the door shut. The first zombie reached the vehicle, slamming a rotten fist against the glass. Others followed, their decomposing bodies pressing against the doors, clawing at the windows. Jason jammed the keys into the ignition. The engine sputtered. "No, no, no, come on." The undead swarmed, rocking the vehicle. Then, the engine roared to life. Jason slammed the gas. The SUV lurched forward, plowing through the crowd. Bodies crunched under the tires, limbs snapping as the vehicle tore through the horde. Lily screamed. Emily covered her ears. Ryan clenched his jaw, eyes fixed ahead. Jason swerved past wrecked cars, dodging abandoned buses, avoiding the carnage of a city that had already fallen. The streets of Chicago were gone. There was no going back. As the SUV sped toward the highway, Jason's knuckles turned white on the wheel. They had escaped, for now. But the road ahead was far from safe. The SUV sped down the highway, weaving through abandoned cars and the occasional reanimated corpse staggering between them. The city's skyline shrank in the rearview mirror, dark smoke curling from fires that would never be put out. For the first time in hours, Lily spoke. "Where are we going?" Jason kept his eyes on the road. "West. Away from the cities." Ryan leaned forward from the back seat. "And then what?" Jason exhaled, gripping the wheel. "We find somewhere safe." Emily glanced at her husband, worry etched into her face. Safe? Did such a place even exist anymore? The highway stretched ahead, an endless graveyard of stalled cars and rotting bodies. Some vehicles had been abandoned in panic, doors flung open, belongings scattered. Others told grimmer stories, bloody handprints on windows, bullet-riddled doors, half-eaten corpses still buckled into their seats. Ryan pointed ahead. "Look! A gas station." Jason slowed the SUV. A faded Sinclair station stood off the exit, its windows dark. A rusted pickup truck sat out front, doors wide open. The gas pump still looked functional. "We need fuel," Jason said. "And supplies." Emily frowned. "What if someone's inside?" Jason's jaw tightened. "Then we hope they're friendly." He pulled up beside the pump and killed the engine. The world fell into eerie silence. "I'll check inside," Jason said. "Ryan, stay with the car. Keep an eye on your sister." Ryan bristled. "I can help." Jason looked him in the eye. "I know. But I need you to keep them safe." Ryan hesitated, then nodded. Jason handed Emily the pistol. "If anything happens." Emily gripped the gun. "I won't hesitate." Jason gave her a quick nod before stepping toward the station, a crowbar in one hand, his knife in the other. He moved carefully, peering through the dirty windows. Inside, the store was ransacked. Empty shelves. Blood splattered on the floor. But no movement. Jason stepped through the shattered doorway. The stench of death was thick. He moved aisle by aisle, scanning for threats. Then, a noise. A faint rustling near the back. Jason tightened his grip on the crowbar. He crept forward, heart pounding. He rounded the corner. A man. Thin. Unshaven. Eyes hollow with hunger. A shotgun rested on his lap, but he was too weak to lift it. The man's sunken eyes met Jason's. "You're not one of them," the man rasped. Jason didn't lower his weapon. "Neither are you." The man gave a weak smile. "Not yet." Jason glanced down. A blood-soaked rag was wrapped around the man's arm. A bite wound. Damn. I was just passing through, the man muttered. Didn't make it far. He coughed, blood speckling his lips. Guess this is where I die. Jason didn't say anything. The man swallowed hard. You got people with you? Jason hesitated. Yeah. The man nodded, as if that answer didn't surprise him. Take what you need. He glanced at the shotgun in his lap. But I got one last favor to ask. Jason knew what was coming. He had seen it before, overseas, in a different kind of war. The man's voice was barely a whisper. Don't let me turn. Jason clenched his jaw. He looked at the man, the exhaustion, the acceptance in his eyes. A moment of silence passed between them. Then, a single gunshot. Jason walked out of the gas station, shotgun in hand. Emily met his eyes but didn't ask. Ryan kept his gaze on the road ahead. Lily clutched her stuffed rabbit, saying nothing. Jason filled the tank in silence. Then they got back on the road. No one looked back. The road stretched endlessly before them, a desolate ribbon of cracked asphalt littered with abandoned cars and bodies that would never move again. No one spoke. Jason's hands stayed locked on the wheel, knuckles white. The fresh weight of the shotgun on the seat beside him felt heavier than it should have. Emily kept her eyes forward, avoiding Jason's. She didn't ask what had happened inside the gas station. She didn't have to. Lily dozed against Emily's side, exhausted beyond fear, her stuffed rabbit still clutched in her small hands. Ryan stared out the window, his mind lost somewhere Jason couldn't reach. They had gas. They had weapons. They were alive. But for how long? Jason's eyes flicked to the road ahead. A green highway sign loomed in the distance, barely legible through years of wear and tear. Welcome to Elk Ridge, population 2,431. A small town. Maybe a safe place to rest. Maybe a trap. Jason slowed the SUV as they neared the outskirts. The town was eerily still, its streets littered with debris, shattered glass, and overturned trash cans. A few bodies lay in the streets, unmoving. No fresh blood. No signs of recent activity. This place is dead, Ryan muttered. Emily frowned. Not necessarily. Jason scanned the buildings. A hardware store, a pharmacy, and a small grocery store lined the main street. All potential gold mines, if they weren't already picked clean. Or worse, occupied. We'll check the grocery store, Jason decided. See if anything's left. He pulled into the parking lot, killing the engine. The silence that followed was deafening. Jason turned to Ryan. You're with me. Emily, stay in the car with Lily. Emily nodded, gripping the pistol. Be careful. Jason and Ryan stepped out, weapons raised. The air smelled of rot and mildew. They moved cautiously, boots crunching over shattered glass as they approached the entrance. The grocery store's doors were busted open. Inside, the shelves were mostly empty, but a few cans of food still remained, things people had overlooked in the rush. Jason crouched and grabbed a dented can of green beans. Still sealed. We take what we can. Ryan grabbed a backpack from behind the counter, stuffing in whatever non-perishables he could find. Not much left. A sound. Jason froze. Something shifted in the back of the store. Not the wind. Not an animal. Something alive. Ryan's grip tightened on his crowbar. Jason signaled for silence. He crept forward, his shotgun raised, heart hammering. A flicker of movement behind the shelves. Then, a figure lunged from the darkness. Ryan gasped, stumbling back. Jason barely had time to react as a man, thin, ragged, his clothes filthy, shoved a rifle in his face. Drop it, the man snarled, his wild eyes darting between them. His hands trembled, but the rifle didn't waver. Jason's finger hovered over the trigger. We don't want trouble. The man sneered. Too bad. 'Cause trouble's already here. A second figure stepped out from behind the aisle, a woman, just as gaunt, gripping a rusted machete. Ryan's breathing hitched. Dad. Shut up, kid, the man snapped. His eyes darted toward the front of the store, as if checking for something. Jason's gut twisted. They weren't alone. This wasn't just two desperate survivors. This was a trap. And they had just walked right into it. Jason didn't move. His shotgun was leveled at the scruffy man, but the rifle in his opponent's hands had him beat at range. One wrong move, and this would be over in a heartbeat. Ryan's grip tightened on the crowbar. His breathing was fast, uneven. The woman with the machete smirked. Got some nerve, waltzing into our store. Jason's mind raced. The way the man had glanced toward the front, he was waiting for something. Reinforcements? Take the bag, and we'll walk away, Jason said evenly. No need for bloodshed. The man chuckled. Oh, there's always a need. Ain't much law left in the world, soldier boy. His eyes flicked to Jason's gear, lingering on the shotgun. Military, huh? Bet you got more supplies stashed somewhere. Jason didn't take the bait. Last chance. Let us go. The woman grinned, raising her machete. I think we'll just take everything instead. Then. A loud honk blasted from outside. The sound startled the two raiders just enough. Jason moved first. He slammed the shotgun barrel into the man's rifle, forcing it upward. A shot rang out, punching a hole in the ceiling. Ryan didn't hesitate. He swung the crowbar, cracking the woman's wrist. She howled, dropping the machete. Jason pivoted, driving his shoulder into the man's chest. They crashed into the shelves, cans tumbling to the floor. Ryan kicked the machete away and scrambled toward Jason. The raiders weren't done. The man snarled, trying to bring his rifle back down, but Jason was faster. He drove his knee into the man's stomach, then grabbed the barrel of the rifle, twisting it free. The woman, cradling her wrist, lunged for a knife on her belt. Dad! Ryan yelled. Jason turned and fired. The shotgun roared, the blast shredding through the woman's torso. She collapsed, blood pooling beneath her. The man's eyes went wide. No, no! Jason didn't give him a chance. He flipped the rifle in his hands and swung it like a club, cracking the stock against the man's skull. The raider slumped, unconscious. Ryan gasped, hands shaking. Outside, the honking continued. Jason grabbed Ryan by the arm. Go! Now! They sprinted toward the entrance. Jason's heart pounded. Emily. Lily. Were they okay? As they burst outside, Jason's blood ran cold. 3 more raiders stood by the SUV. Emily was in the driver's seat, hand on the horn. The pistol was aimed at a burly man with a shotgun. Lily cowered beside her. The burly man sneered. You really don't want to do that, lady. Jason raised his own shotgun. Let them go. The other 2 raiders, a lanky teen with a baseball bat and a woman holding a hunting rifle, turned toward him. Ryan froze at Jason's side. The tension crackled in the air. Then, the undead arrived. The shotgun blast inside the store had been too loud. A dozen zombies shuffled from between the buildings, drawn by the noise. The burly raider's expression changed. Shit. Jason didn't hesitate. Emily, go! Emily stomped the gas. The SUV lurched forward, clipping the burly raider as it sped past. The zombies descended. Jason grabbed Ryan and ran. The lanky teen screamed as a zombie tackled him, its teeth tearing into his throat. The burly raider fired blindly, but it was too late. The undead overwhelmed them. Jason and Ryan dove into the SUV as Emily skidded to a stop. Drive! Jason shouted. Emily didn't need to be told twice. The SUV sped away, leaving the raiders to their fate. Ryan gasped for air. Jason checked Lily. She was safe, though her face was pale with terror. Emily's hands trembled on the wheel. We almost didn't make it. Jason exhaled. But we did. Ryan looked back at the town, now lost in the distance. There's nowhere safe, is there? Jason didn't answer. Because he wasn't sure anymore. The SUV roared down the highway, the night swallowing them whole. The headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the wreckage of the old world, abandoned vehicles, scattered belongings, and the occasional motionless corpse. Lily whimpered softly in the back seat, curled against Emily. Ryan stared blankly out the window, lost in thought. Jason's grip was tight on the wheel. His breathing was steady, but his mind was racing. The raiders had nearly taken everything from them. If Emily hadn't honked the horn, if the undead hadn't arrived when they did, Jason might not be here right now. How much longer could they keep this up? Emily broke the silence. We need a plan, Jason. We keep moving, Jason said, eyes locked on the road. Find somewhere isolated. A cabin, maybe. We can't keep running forever. Ryan scoffed. Yeah? And what happens when we run out of food? When the car breaks down? Jason glanced at his son in the rearview mirror. Ryan's expression was hard, too hard for a kid his age. We'll figure it out, Jason said. Ryan shook his head. That's not a plan. Jason didn't answer. A sign appeared ahead, barely visible in the dark. Rest area, 1 mile. Jason slowed the SUV. We'll stop there. Get some rest. Emily frowned. Is that safe? Safer than driving exhausted, Jason said. We'll keep watching shifts. A few minutes later, they rolled into the empty parking lot of the rest area. The building was dark, its windows covered in grime. The surrounding trees loomed over them like silent watchers. Jason killed the engine. Stay here. I'll check it out. Ryan grabbed his crowbar. I'm coming. Jason hesitated, then nodded. Stay close. The two stepped out, weapons raised. The night was too quiet, no moans, no movement, just the distant sound of the wind. They reached the entrance. Jason pushed the door open. Darkness greeted them. Jason swept the flashlight across the interior. The place was trashed, overturned chairs, broken vending machines, scattered luggage. But no bodies. No blood. Ryan exhaled. Looks empty. Jason nodded. We'll stay here for the night. They returned to the SUV. Emily carried Lily inside, setting her down on an old couch. Jason blocked the door with a vending machine while Ryan gathered blankets from abandoned bags. For the first time in days, they felt a small sense of security. Jason took the first watch, shotgun across his lap. Hours passed. Then, a noise outside. Jason tensed, heart pounding. A shuffling sound, slow and deliberate. Not a zombie. A person. Jason crept to the window, peering through a crack in the grime. A woman stood outside, half hidden in the shadows. Dirty, thin, her hands raised in surrender. Jason's stomach tightened. Another survivor. She was alone, or at least, she seemed to be. Then she spoke. Please. I have a child. We just need food. Jason's fingers tightened on the shotgun. Emily stirred. What is it? Jason glanced back at her. Trouble. Ryan woke up, rubbing his eyes. What's going on? Jason didn't answer. He turned back to the window. The woman stood there, waiting. Jason's gut told him one thing. This was a trap. But his heart whispered another. What if it wasn't? He had seconds to decide. And in this world, one wrong choice could mean death. Jason's finger hovered over the trigger. Outside, the woman remained still, her hands shaking in the cold night air. Please, she whispered. We're starving. Ryan stood beside him now, gripping the crowbar. His voice was low. It's a trap. Jason knew the odds. Desperate people were dangerous. But was she really lying? Or had the world hardened them so much that they saw every stranger as a threat? Emily stepped forward, cradling Lily. Jason, if it were me and Lily out there, wouldn't you want someone to help us? Jason's jaw clenched. The answer was yes. But that didn't make it any less dangerous. Get back, he ordered, raising his voice. Come any closer, and I'll shoot. The woman didn't move. Instead, a small figure stepped into the light beside her, a child. A boy, maybe 6 years old, wrapped in a filthy jacket 2 sizes too big. His eyes were sunken, hollow. Jason felt his stomach twist. We just need food, the woman repeated, her voice breaking. We won't stay. Jason scanned the treeline, searching for movement. Were there others waiting? Watching? Nothing. Ryan's grip on the crowbar tightened. They'll slow us down. Emily swallowed hard. They'll die without help. Jason had to decide. His instincts screamed to keep the doors locked, to drive away before the inevitable betrayal. But his heart wouldn't let him. With a deep breath, he made his choice. Jason slowly lowered his shotgun. We have food. But if you try anything, you won't live long enough to regret it. The woman's breath hitched. Thank you. Thank you. Jason cautiously unblocked the door. The woman and her son stepped inside, their bodies trembling from exhaustion. Emily handed the boy a granola bar. He tore into it like a starving animal. For a few moments, there was silence, just the sound of chewing, deep breathing, and relief. Then, a distant howl cut through the night. Jason's head snapped up. Ryan ran to the window, cursing. Oh, no! From the shadows of the forest, figures emerged, slow-moving, shambling, hungry. Zombies. Dozens of them. The sound of voices, the food, the warmth of life had drawn them. Jason grabbed his shotgun. We have to go. Now. Emily scooped Lily into her arms. Ryan grabbed the backpack. The woman and her son clung to each other, terror in their eyes. The undead closed in fast. Jason kicked open the door, firing the shotgun into the nearest corpse. Boom. A headless body crumpled. Run, he shouted. The group sprinted for the SUV. A zombie lunged, Jason smashed its skull with the shotgun stock. Ryan swung his crowbar, crushing another. The woman and her son stumbled, Emily grabbed them, pulling them forward. Jason threw open the SUV door. Get in. Go, go. Emily and Lily dove inside. Ryan followed. The woman hesitated for just a second. Jason yanked her forward, shoving her and her son into the back seat. Then, a zombie latched onto Jason's arm. Teeth snapping inches from his skin. Jason roared, shoving the creature back. He jammed the shotgun into its mouth and pulled the trigger. Boom. The head exploded. He jumped into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and floored the gas pedal. The SUV skidded, tires screaming against the pavement. Zombies swarmed after them, clawing at the vehicle as it sped into the night. Jason's hands were steady on the wheel. His heart thundered in his chest. They were alive. For now. Emily exhaled, looking back at the woman and her son. What's your name? The woman swallowed hard. Maya. My son is Leo. Jason didn't look at them. His eyes stayed on the road ahead, on the unknown. He didn't know what was next. But he knew one thing. In this world, survival wasn't just about staying alive. It was about holding on to your humanity. And tonight, for better or worse, they had. The end.